Hello, this is Steve Buoniconti from SOA Consulting Services, continuing our Angular 4 tutorials. Today we're going to talk about pipes. Pipe is a template element that allows you to transform a value into a desired output. For example, if your template had your birthday is and had an expression trying to interpolate the attribute birthday from the component attribute, you can pipe that into a date and you could format it, etc. Angular has predefined types, just a couple of them. Uppercase pipe, it converts an input string to uppercase. A date pipe displays dates in different formats. A currency pipe transforms a number into a desired currency. And an async pipe that unwraps data from provided observable streams. For example, you could have a stock symbol and pipe it into uppercase. You could have an amount and pipe it into currency and specify which currency. And you could have an observable and pipe it into an async. Here's the complete list of Angular predefined pipes at this present time. There's a currency pipe. It formats a number as currency using locale rules. There's a JSON pipe that converts values into JSON strings. There's a lowercase pipe that transforms text to lowercase. There's a percent pipe which formats a number as a percentage according to locale rules. There's a slice pipe that creates a new list or string containing a subset, that is a slice, of the elements. And there's an async pipe that unwraps a value from an asynchronous primitive. Continuing, there's a date pipe. It formats a date according to locale rules. There's an I18N plural pipe that maps a value to a string that pluralizes the value to locale rules. There's a title case pipe that transforms text to title case. There's a decimal pipe that formats a number according to locale rules. There's an I18 select pipe. It's a generic selector that displays the string that matches the current value. And there's an uppercase pipe that transfers text to uppercase. Cool. So let's look at the example. I have an example which shows you all of these types of pipes. And let's look at that now. I have created a pipes project with Angular CLI within WebStorm. And so the project pipes exist. Here's the Angular CLI JSON file. I have an index.html. I have a main.ts driver. Everything else is used for testing and specifying root directory, output directories for resources, polyfills, etc. So let's take a look at the index.html. There's an app root tag, which is our Angular application custom tag. Since main.ts is the driver, let's take a look at that. We do several things in this file, but the main thing that we do is we bootstrap something called app module. We also look at the environment and determine whether it's production or not. If it's production, we enable production mode. Okay, so the app module is in the app folder. And so let's look at the app module. Okay, the app module imports an app component. It declares the app component. It is going to bootstrap the app component. So app component is our root component. Let's take a look at our app component. Okay. So in our app component, we import the component because we use the annotation. We import an observable, a subscriber, and I could simplify this here, but let's just move on. We have an app-root selector. We have a template URL and a styles URL. And then we have the class app component. So I define a bunch of attributes here because I'm going to be operating on them with pipes. So I have a stock, which is in lowercase. I have a product, which is a bicycle. It has an uppercase B. I have today's date, which is of type date. I have a user array, a my value, a cars array, the number pi, the number e, an amount, which is a number type. We have time, which is an observable, gender, which is defined as a male, and an invite map, which basically has name value pairs. If it's a male, invite him. If it's a female, invite her. If it's other, invite them. And then I have a messages. I have message 1 as the message. In the message mapping, I have a name value pairs corresponding to no messages, one message, number of messages. And then I have a constructor. I create the user array, which is my name and phone number. I have a my value. I populate the cars array. I instantiate today's date. And I define time as an observable. And when I call the set interval with a fat arrow operator, and I basically send a new date with a toString in 1 second. Okay, so let's go take a look at what I'm doing in the template to try to make sense out of this. First, I think I should go to my directory. And I'm going to start my project. Okay, so I know this is a very populated file, but basically what I do here is I operate on each. First I show you the original value of the attribute in the component, and then I pipe it into some sort of transformation. So first I show you stock, and then I pipe it into uppercase. I then take the stock and I pipe it into title case. So notice the stock number, the stock symbol was AAPL. It's supposed to represent Apple stock symbol. So in uppercase, it should be represented in uppercase. In title case, it should have the first letter capitalized. Then I took product, which was bicycle, with an uppercase B, and I'm going to pipe it into lowercase. I take a user array and pipe it into JSON. I take a my value and pipe it into %. So let's take a look at what my value was. My value was a number type, and I gave it 0.75. And now I pipe the number pi into a formatter which displays 3 decimal places. Here I take the amount, I show the currency in USD, then I show the currency in Euro. I take today's date, I pipe it into date. Then I format the date, and I show you a lot of these different date pipes. Medium date, short date, long date. Time, short time. Okay, so this is what my output's starting to look like. APL, the uppercase converts AAPL to these characters. Title case converts these characters to these characters. Lowercase converts these characters to these characters. I took an array object and I converted it to JSON. I took 0.75 and converted it to %. I took my representation of the number pi and I converted it to have only 3 decimal places. Here's my US characters, my Euro characters for the amounts, and then I show a bunch of pipes that corresponding to dates. So you could represent your date this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. There's different formats, and here's the times. I took the word bicycle and I sliced it from 0 to 4, and I got this string. It seems to be slicing off the first 4 characters. Let's just see. slice 2 took off the first 2 characters. Okay, so here's the important directives that you're going to be using that are really important. You have an NG4 where you take each car in the cars array and you pipe it to a slice 3. So let's say what our cars array looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it got converted to the last 3. So it sliced off the first 3. Now here we took the time and basically we used set interval to call deliver the time after 1 second, and we piped it into the async pipe, and we got the time. Here we took the message's length and we piped it into the message mapping. If it was 0, there's no messages. If it's 1, there's 1 message. Otherwise, there's a number of messages. So we used the pipe operator to determine the length of the messages, and we rendered a string appropriately. Now here we look at some number formatting, and we've got E displayed this way, where we typed in this particular numeric value, and here we're representing it with 3 characters before the decimal and 5 characters after the decimal. Here's pi with no formatting, and we represented it with 3 characters before the decimal and 5 afterwards. In our last little example, we converted gender and we piped it to the I18N select pipe with the invite map as an argument. Let's take a look at that. The gender is male. The invite map says if it's male, it evaluates to invite him. If it's female, invite her. Other, invite them. So since it's male, it's going to render invite him. Okay, that's just a simple introduction to pipes. I must say I expected a little bit more from Angular 4. There's some pipes in the older version of Angular that seem to be dropped temporarily. Maybe they'll come back in Angular 5, but we'll take a look at how to create custom pipes in another tutorial. Okay, well that's all I had to say, show you today, and thank you for watching.